You're listening to Delenta Coaches Connect podcast. This podcast features the diverse perspective of a thriving global community of coaches, leaders, and experts sharing their captivating stories, journeys, expert advice, and more.
Hello, and welcome to Coaches Connect podcast. I'm your host, Nicole Jones. And today we have a very exciting guest whose name is Chris Markert. We will be discussing how procrastination loop codes keep us from creating the life we desire as coaches. Chris is a motivational speaker, NLP master, and success coach, helping stressed and burned out top executives, entrepreneurs, and coaches to create an energizing success strategy with mental clarity and to boost their motivating and engaging impact. In his 20 plus years of practice, his mission has always been changing the Joes and Janes of the world one by one to create a ripple impact and make the world a better place for all of us. A true go-giver at heart, he believes the biggest value you can give to the world is yourself. His coaching style is simple, strategic, funny, and empowering. He says some of us have been setting the same goals, losing and regaining the same weight, making and breaking the same promises, having the same pointless conversations about the same mindless crap, avoiding the same issues, making the same excuses, and let's be honest, messing around for years. In his amusing and entertaining and sometimes confronting coaches sessions or keynotes, Chris explores with you why, when it comes to our own lives, we are both the problem and the solution. He will take you down the yellow brick road to your own personal Oz. His core statement is, you won't tweak yourself to a big vision. You'll need to take some significant changes. And of course, it's always worth it in the end. And with that, let's get to it. Let's welcome Chris Markert.
Hello, Nicole.
Hello. Good morning, my friend. How are you?
Good morning. Good afternoon for me, but good morning for you.
That's right. Are you, you're in from the UK? Is that where you're calling in from?
Yeah, from the London area, very close to Heathrow Airport, actually.
Ooh, nice. One of my favorite cities. But I think I heard right before we got on that, did you grow up in San Francisco in the US?
Yes, that's where I grew up.
Nice. So we have a little bit of a connection. I'm in the US. We had a little bit of connection.
My dad is German. My mom used to be American. My mom has already passed away like 30 years ago. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, let me tell you, that was a chock full of goodness that I just read about you. I have so much stuff that I want to get into, but before I kind of start getting into the things around the procrastination loop codes and that kind of thing, there's so much in your bio that I want to just know more about. It's just rich with so many questions. And so the first thing that I kind of want to know or let our listeners hear is, who are you and how did you get to this path of coaching?
Okay, good. Good question. Well, it all started back when I was actually 14, I think.
Oh, wow.
It's really funny. So I'm highly ADHD and I'm diagnosed with ADHD. So obviously that brings a lot of problems in your life, and especially procrastination, because you get constantly distracted, and we talk about it later with distractions and why we actually do that. Mm-hmm. And but then I somehow got into I managed with medication. That's the obvious thing they always do. Right. They give you medication, but looking at ADHD, it's not only I how can I say, the best way to describe it is like, look at a car with diesel. Well, so the diesel is the medication, the fuel, basically. Right. But with this fuel, you can drive either to London or you can drive to Bristol or to anywhere, Manchester, where you want. Right. So the decision you make. So the pills don't give you the skills, do they? So it's great. It helps you to focus and run the long range you want to run, but it doesn't help you to focus on that one. So obviously, when I entered university, I had a big issue on my way to focus on things. And everything that was out there, therapy, I mean, you're talking to a therapist and they tell you, yeah, you can do it that way, you can do it that way, but it doesn't really help you. Now, obviously, this looking back in the 80s, nowadays, things are different. We have
progressed
applications and help and helping that. So I studied hospitality management, and then I ran quite a few hotels, went around the world, joined the airlines, became a cabin crew because I love that, because it was always distracting me. I was going everywhere in the world. So, but while doing that, I I started to build my own strategies and plans how the best way to do actually manage my daily life, get away from my procrastination that I was doing and my distractions that I had on a daily basis. And then eventually I met so many, when you are working for big corporations, even in the C-suites, I met so many executives that I just saw they all had the same problems, and you were surprised how many ADHD people are actually adults sitting in the C-suites.
Yes.
Funny, they're very successful on certain points, but then,
brilliant. Many of them are just brilliant geniuses.
yeah, and you know that because you're coaching, they're brilliant, but they have all this, I said, disorganized mess around them all the time.
That's a good way to put it. That's why they hire all these great people to help them.
Exactly. So I said, hey, why not starting becoming a coach? And I actually helped a lot of them, and that's how it all developed. So I had it always on a side business. Now, like actually the last 5 years where I really focused on doing it full time now, the last 3 years, but I just feel like, I still kept working for the airlines. I really enjoyed that. But that was, for me, that's my personal pleasure of doing that, because I never work full time anymore. I just said, okay, that's fine. I do that on site. I focused on my coaching business. Did a lot of motivational speaking. Did actually all the Tony Robbins masteries. So I actually, that's how I got really deep into it. And then obviously I do a lot of self-development. And for me, that was one of the core things happened in 89, I think. I went to the first Tony Robbins event. It was Unleash Your Power. And and that was just mind-blowing, because I saw how he actually got through to you, and how with simple changes initially, with NLP, how you get involved to it. Eventually, I went down the road, NLP is good, but I always think it's an overwrite, Nicole. And NLP, we overwriting the nerve systems that we have built in our head, which is good. And sometimes that is important to be able to overwrite, but sometimes we forget about the root cause, what it is actually. And we need to build new routes, and that you can't do with NLP. You're actually overwriting that one. So then I got involved and actually started to look into IFS, which I thought the internal family system is an amazing system to go down to the core values and what are actually your internal personalities telling you on one side, why you're doing that. If you probably know the system where we have the manager, the firefighters, and the exile sitting there. And I said, well, can't we use, I know this is more a therapy part and it's very used in trauma. But I believed actually at that point it was more, you can actually fix way more things. That is not only trauma based. There are situations in our life, how we get conditioned over the years.
Correct. All of our experiences and upbringing,
that
childhood.
actually causes things. And actually, when you do that, an IFS in coaching, which, well, you know how IFS, Dr. Schwartz says, you're either an IFS therapist or you're a practitioner. Where when you're a practitioner, you're the one, but you're on the coaching side, because I'm not a psychologist. I haven't studied psychology. But I actually use that on a daily basis. So I do use the combinations of NLP, IFS, and in CBT to actually help my clients to move forward in their life and keep on track where they want to go. So I think it's really, we as coaches, we need to look as well a bit more on the global thing, what is actually there in offering us. And it's everybody's going like, oh, we do NLP. That is great, but it's very limited. Unfortunately to say it's very limited. While I think it's a great thing, I have an NLP mastery and I really do believe in it. However, as I said, the override is there for a particular moment when you need to override, but we always need to look at the core problem. Where's the core problem coming from? So that's how I got into coaching.
That is just a really unique story. There are, some people have these really strong aha moments, like something traumatic happened, or, with myself, I got laid off from a job, and, they're just things that happen that kind of make you say like, oh yeah, this is the nudge that I need, right? You had a very unique aha moment. I mean, it was an aha, but it was this, you started to see a theme that you felt like you could really service, right? And that kind of leads me into something that really stood out for me in your bio, obviously changing the Janes and the Joes and the Janes of the world, but also this go-giver heart. And I want to spend a little time of how you got to this Joes and Janes and what this go-giver heart really, really means.
Well, all started actually with reading the book The Go-Giver by Bob Burke. And I don't know if you haven't read that, and I can only recommend it.
Yes,
you can recommend it. And I have them all here, and I have you see, this is when they read the Go-Giver
influencer. Nice.
And so I became part, and just recently, actually this year, I became part of the Go-Giver Success Alliance. So this is where we meet with Bob every week on a Zoom call, and like it was yesterday, our call. Now, Bob, amazing. When you read the Go-Giver book initially, it is a bit of a sales story, but it's like a story. It's not like a technical sales book, basically. Right. And but the Go-Giver principles, the 5 laws of stratospheric success, are not only based on sales, they are based on everything in life. One of the stratospheric law is the biggest gift you can give to the world is yourself.
Yeah,
and we always go to the sense, and why saying like the law of value, we saying actually you giving to the people first before even thinking about anything in return, and giving value. Now, value we always unfortunately put on a wrong sense, because we always put a monetary
we usually try for that.
But that is not the case. The value is everything else as well. You can even a smile at a person is a value, because we were just talking the other day. I had we have a little show as well every Tuesday, and we had Kathy Tijanal, who is the COO of the Go-Giver Alliance. And Kathy, I asked her, and I was telling her about that. When you go to a store, when I mean, you're American, in the United States, you go to the cash desk and they go like, "Hi, how are you doing?" Fine. This is exactly what it is.
No real conversation.
It is a floss, exactly.
Yeah.
And you go, and she goes and does your checkout and goes beep, beep,
thank
beep,
you. Have
beep,
a
beep, and thank you very much. Have a nice day. Bye. Actually, that's so funny. But I'm challenging like my customers sometimes. I said, now do this. Have a genuine conversation with the person and ask a few questions. This is being a go-giver, and you will be surprised. First, they get startled. Right. Oh, why are you asking me? But then you don't know how much value you have given to her, because you might be the first person that day
who really
actually sees the person and recognizes the person, and she will go like, wow, this customer really saw me and said, oh, you look nice, your hair looks nice, how is your day going, what are you doing for the weekend? And it's so simple. I mean, this is the most simple thing, the most simple value you can give to a person. Make them seen. And we forget that on a daily basis. And unfortunately, our technologies nowadays don't help us at all about it, because we're doing actually the opposite of communication. We say this is the communication age. Well, I think we're not communicating at all anymore, unfortunately. No. And it's such a bad thing. So here it goes. With everything I do, I first of all think about, how can I service this person? How can I help this person? How can I help their problem? How can I solve their problem first? And one of the 5 laws is as well the law of receptivity. So that's the final law, where you stay open for receiving. And they will come. It's sometimes I reach out to people and they will not become my customer, but because I've given them value on something, an advice on something, they will remember me. And when they have a friend, a business partner, colleague that actually says, oh, I'm struggling with this problem, I'm really procrastinating, they say, oh my God, I know this person that can help you and will refer you. And that's what it is. We are open. It's all a universe thing. I believe.
I agree.
One thing, and I always have to be very careful, because I'm sometimes very direct when I say. It's like, look at.
I like directness. Go ahead.
The universe is very easy. Okay, so we're talking about manifestation. What we always talk about, what happens, but look at this the way I see it, like a radio station, a radio transmitter station. So if you transmit to Universe FM.
Yep.
That's great. Then the universe will answer back to you because that's what you do. You're transmitting there. If you tune into shit FM, that's what you're going to get back from it. Sorry, because you're not even doing that. If you're always going into your doubts and everything, into your negativity, and see, what do I get out of it? You are really me focused, and we need to look on what can we do for others. And actually, your value is determined by how many people you serve and how well you serve them. That is your value. And if you don't value them at all, well, how can you expect to get paid for that? I'm very honest to you.
No, and I'm in agreement with you. How do you expect that?
So, this is why I said the go-giver for me is not only about how to run business, it's how to run my life on a daily basis. And I think it's so important nowadays. People have completely forgotten. We became so me orientated, unfortunately.
Myopic, yes.
And I tell you, as soon as I became a go-giver, I have met the most incredible people. I have had the most incredible business growth happening because I go on a different way, and I'm authentic to myself. This is what the authenticity comes from, and people know that I will be actually helping them. So I think that is really important. And as I said, don't undermine yourself. You are the biggest gift to give to the world. So yeah, that's the go-giver principle.
I love that. I don't, like I said, I've not read The Go-Giver. I will, but I have a.
You have to read it.
I follow.
You're gonna love that.
I follow a go-giver mindset. Like that's who I am. Everything that you talked about, that's who I am. My life's mission is to help when and where I can because I can. And so I give, I help, I do all this stuff. So I will be interested to read this and follow up with you at some point just to see how there are so many things that I probably am already doing that I just don't even realize. But that attraction, the universe, is so true. Like, I believe that with you. You put it out in the universe, there's so many things that you can manifest. And if you go into these conversations of like, I need to get the client, I need to get the client, I need to get the client, you're not getting the client today, tomorrow, or ever. It's just not gonna.
That's why I can say it's that's SFM then, because you're going in the wrong direction.
Correct.
And that is so funny. And you see, the big thing about the go-giver, and I think it's one thing you always have to remember. It's not, because people say paying forward. For paying forward, you need to receive something first.
Yes.
So this is exactly the opposite. We're not a go-getter anymore. We're going to become a go-giver.
Go-giver.
So I give the value without even attaching anything in return to it. But I trust in the fifth law that it's going to come back to me.
Yes.
And I trust in it.
I love
and that's what it is. So that's the big difference there. That's going. And I said, if you read the book, it's going to change your view. And I can only recommend everybody to read this book.
Yes,
it's going to change your view on life and everything. It was for me such a big aha moment.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. You're not the only person who has felt like, procrastination has kind of led your life. I believe there's a huge bucket of people. I can admit myself that I can fall into this at times. So I want to spend some time around this because I love the whole same goals, losing and regaining the same weight, making the same excuses. Like that whole, I call it a rant. That whole rant spoke truth, I'm sure, to many people. It spoke truth to me. That's why I felt like I was like, wow, this is just, I can't wait to talk to him because, while it can be confrontational for many, because you said, it's amusing and entertaining, but it can be confronting as well. I think it just makes people have to get honest with themselves. And that's the part that can be very difficult, right? Of getting honest with yourselves. It's great to look and live the life through other people's eyes. But when you have to sit and be quiet with yourself to be like, so what's really going on? Why am I really not losing that weight? Or how come I keep, that's difficult conversations to have with ourselves. And so procrastination will just keep going because it's easy, right? It's easy. Procrastination hard, but in reality, it's kind of easy because you don't have to confront something. So I want you to kind of open up and we have a dialogue around this procrastination loop code that you're talking about. And I'm sure a lot of coaches listening fall into this, and just people in general fall into this. So how do you want to open it up?
Let's look first of all at procrastination. Why do we procrastinate?
Yeah.
And that's why we do that, actually. And to be very honest, we're doing it as a conscious decision.
Yes.
It's the funny thing about it. It is constant decisions. And because one of the things it's not logic. We think it is a logical choice to do something, but it's not. It's actually how we feel about something, right there. So we go into that one ourselves. And a lot of people say, oh, no, but it's circumstances from outside and everything. No, it is a conscious decision. You actually doing something else than what you want to do or should do.
Correct.
Actually, here we go, the shoulders.
We
don't have the shouldas. The shoulds. We don't have the shoulds, actually.
Right.
But you have a big goal on something and whatever, but then there are these, what I call them, the operating system. So what is a loop in general? That's why we say procrastination loop. Now, in software coding, loops are actually a default or a fault in the code, which basically goes, you see how the lines go and go, if this happens, go do this. If this happens, do this. If this doesn't happen, do this. So, and a loop is basically something where it goes to, if this happens, go back to that. So you're going back to the state part and you're going back down again and you get to the same thing and it's going to be back. So it's actually like a fault in the code. So, software developers look at these loops because they say, okay, why do we get back, reset back to the beginning where we started off?
Yeah.
Like this way. So this is exactly the same in our brain. As I said, there are certain networks built over the time. There are reasons why we built them, but that is outside influence, the way how we have been treated or whatever, trauma, there are a lot of things that happen. But there are code systems that we do. And then going back to where I said earlier is like, you make a conscious decision. You say, no, we don't. Now look at it, something like saying, oh, well, I get distracted by the phone. Great. I'm going to give you now the exact proof that actually any distraction that happens doesn't automatically mean that you will procrastinate to do that. And I do it with a simple thing. Do you remember a moment where you really needed to pee? I mean, really pee. You had to go. It's now.
Almost right.
Your phone might have been ringing. Emails need to be done. You didn't care. Correct. Because your subconscious, you made the decision, I need to pee right now. Yeah. And that is exactly where I prove you. That is the simplest proof that you actually making the conscious decision, because the distraction, you don't care about the distraction anymore. It's why do we do that then when we have other focus? So we have to shift the focus actually. And if you get this mindset in your head and saying, hang on a minute, this distraction I can actually use to my advantage, and I will go to it afterwards when I talk after the 5 systems or the 5 operating systems. So I have narrowed it down to 5. There are 5 systems. So the first operating system is the perfectionist or operating system. Oh, this is the person that has the big goals, but there's always something missing. And that's when he procrastinates, because then, that's not nice. And I have done this web page, but it's not nice again. And he goes into this procrastination mode and actually never completes the task because there's always something missing.
Yes.
That is the one that is really, I think a lot of people, and I'm going sure after going through the 5, everybody here that's listening right now will have seen itself in one at least, or at least in even in several ones. Yeah. The second one is the imagination operating system, or dreamer, I call them sometimes. Yes. These are the ones that actually they imagine the biggest and amazing goals, right? And that they think everything is, oh, I can do this, I can become this successful speaker and everything.
Don't do anything.
See all the goals, right? But then they are afraid to actually take the action because they go like, there's never the right time to do it. So they always think, yeah, but I could do actually, I could do this and that one. And that's sometimes what we say with the analyze paralysis, basically. The dreamer or imagination OS is exactly the opposite of the perfectionist, because actually they have these dreams, they really dream it all up, but there's never the right moment to start. And that's the second really big system. The third one for me is the self-saboteur. So the self-saboteur is the one that always has the goal, sets it all up, writes it up, and actually really understands what he's doing, and even has maybe the steps already set out. But then the first thing he thinks is that, what if I fail again? This is the self that he said, like, yeah, but if I do that, I'm not going to make it. There's always something happening when I do things. It's like, and this is always the self-limiting beliefs. Here come the limiting beliefs. We all have the self-saboteur. We actually do that. The fourth one is, for me, the crisis junkie. The crisis junkie is the one, and that's me. I'm an ADHD dealer. That is really me. I do believe that that is my biggest MO. I always leave things to the last minute. And that is why I say the crisis junkie. I like to have that.
You thrive on that.
Yes, exactly. I thrive on it. But I leave it sometimes so late off that I don't have time to actually complete the task. So what I do, and I say, I'm not ever going to manage that because it's 7 days now, or I have to do, like, I'm right now, I tell you, my book comes out on the 11th of December, and I just got an email from the editor 5 days ago. You need to rewrite this part there because, and I'm like, and I've left it off. So it's now sitting there flashing on my screen. You need to do it now. And this is like typical me. This is ADHD, absolutely the way how it is. And I procrastinate because of that way, because I've always put it off. And a lot of people run this system, actually. So I'm not the only one. There are a lot of people that do that.
I think I'm married to that system.
See? And the final one is, for me, is the end worker OS, which is like an end. They all follow something. So they do a lot of little tasks. They have a goal. That's fair enough. They do a little of tasks, and they always look like they're busy.
Yeah.
They are like busy bees flying around. Yeah. Exactly. Or the ants, actually, they're always busy. They're doing something. But they never do the things that actually
the big things that need to get done. Yes.
They don't do anything for their goal, really. They always look productive, but they're not really productive. Check those things off that list
that aren't making any big impact.
For them, it's personally the most important thing. They can tick off boxes that they have done that, but they don't really do that. So he have the 5 basically procrastination types of that one. And as I said, most of them are more predominant in one area, but we all have these simple different things. So now how can you change that? That is actually really easy. First of all, you need to shift your mindset from it. Distractions happen to us all the time. Now, why is it important to get out of these distractions? I tell you, and there's a statistic on that we get distracted every 11 minutes in average.
Yes, I've heard
and it takes us 25 minutes to refocus fully to it. Now look at a day of 8 hours work time. Let's say 8 hours.
Those emails.
That means you are 6 hours. You are procrastinating, and 2 hours you're only getting effective work done, because when you take every 11 minutes, you can divide it. It turns out that you're only 2 hours actively working something. Now, how amazing would it be if you could switch that around, the other way around? And you can actually do that. It's very easy. Now, for me, my personal morning routine is something, and that's why I say I use the distractions as my advantage.
Yeah.
Because I changed the mindset. I don't see them as a distraction anymore. It's not the obstacle, or it's not your way of thinking that is wrong. It's the obstacle that's hard to actually, basically. It's not your thought process that's wrong here. It's the obstacle that is sitting there in front of you. Like, say, the distraction that's happening. Facebook, whatever, your phone pinging, da-da-da. So what I do in the morning, I do write myself a full list, and it's just a random list of tasks that will help me go to my main goal. So I have always in the morning, I sit down, I have my daily journal here, my journal planner where I sit, and I write my daily goals. So this is my goal today, is finishing the book edit, right? So there are a lot of other things that can go towards this particular big goal. So I write them down on a separate list, and I call them actually my procrastination loop list, basically. So what I do is, as soon as I get distracted, I ask myself, like my phone rings, there's a message. So obviously the natural thing would be you go to your phone and you read the message. I don't do that. I actually take the phone and then I ask myself 3 simple questions. Is this important right now? Is it a call where you say, I need to take this call? Because we cannot always 100% not attend something, an outside circumstance.
Right.
But 90% of the time, these circumstances or outside distractions are not necessary and we don't need them. You can turn on the phone, but nobody does that. We know that. We have to be here reality check, right? So I'll ask myself the question, is it right now important to attend? No? I'll go to my procrastination loop list and I pick one of the tasks that is on that one, which is a task that I can finish in 3 to 5 minutes. And I do this task and check that off my list. So now, instead of using that as a distraction, reading that one, I have done to the list. Well, if it says, yes, it might be important, but not really. Then I ask, my next thing is, does it help to my goal today? If it doesn't, again,
keep it
back
moving.
to my procrastination list, pick one of the items off, and I do that one off that one. And the final question is, do I have time right now to attempt that? If I don't have time for that right now, I go back again to my list and I pick another task. Now I'm switching my productivity actually. So I use the actual distraction as an advantage for me.
Yeah, it's an opportunity
of a disadvantage.
Yeah.
And then I schedule, even on these things in my day, I schedule on my list, break. So I actually put on the list, on my procrastination loop list, break. And that is the moment when I go and I get to there, break. Then I actually attend to the message that was there. And I just put myself that in a way. And it's just amazing. I actually shifted when I came up with that, I shifted my productivity from literally 80% procrastination to 20% maybe effectiveness to almost the other way around. So I'm really 80% productive and 20% I am actually unproductive and I procrastinate around. And once you shift that mindset really and say, okay, I can take it as an advantage here, then you actually are able to do it.
I mean, that's a huge mindset.
It's such a simple thing.
Yeah.
It's actually such a simple thing, but it is really that way.
It's simple, but that's a lot of time. Like listening to you talk about the 6 hours versus the 2 hours, like that's a lot of time wasted in the day. And I don't think a lot of people realize the waste factor during the day. We think that we're doing things. Right?
They have done studies on that, really big studies on that you actually get distracted every 11 minutes by something. It doesn't matter if it's a phone, it's your email, it's you read something, you go down the rabbit hole and you go off and you're sitting 25 minutes until you back into your focus what you were doing initially. And that is horrendous. It's absolutely horrendous. And as I say, imagine when you switch it around, how much more can you do? How much more productive you can be.
Wow. Well, this has been just, I feel like a touch of brilliance in a little bit of time that we have. We're going to be closing in a few, but before I let you go, I want you to share one thing that you learned about yourself during this crazy pandemic. What is one thing that you've learned about yourself?
What is one thing I've got? So many things I learned about myself.
But we're going to focus on one.
One of the first thing is that I need to be more authentic to myself. And just noticing that we all need to come back more together and closer together and getting out of this point where I said, do care really about the person that is next to you. You don't know what they have gone through during the day, and you can actually change their life with just a simple smile.
Yeah.
And that is just, acknowledge people. You want to be seen, so see them as well. Because otherwise it's just, as I said, there we go back to the go-givers. And I really do believe in that. It's just so simple. We always think money is important in life. No, that's all secondary.
But if you don't have a life, then you're not going to be able to make money.
Exactly.
Right? The money is not going to be there.
Exactly. And I think it's really, one thing is really, we're strong together. And that's why I say you need to genuinely care about other people. And if you don't do that, I mean, we all became coaches for one reason or another. Yeah. Some probably for the money. I tell you that. We have to be honest as well. I see that one as well in the industry, that sometimes I think like, you're not really focused on your clients, are you? You're just running your programs.
Yeah.
I always believe I'm in here to help people, to help coaches, to help business owners, to help executives. So that's that's the biggest thing, is be authentic and treat the people how you want to be treated.
I love it. And the last thing, you kept talking about your editor and that. Is there something happening on December 11th? Please share.
Yeah, December 11th, I'm going to release my book.
What's the title of your book, and where can people find it?
At the moment it's on Amazon. So on the 11th of December is the Kindle version that comes out. The paperback and hard copy version comes down in January. And Anna Munn, the wife of David Munn, who is one of the co-authors of the Go Giver. Anna Munn, she's a psychiatrist and psychologist actually, but she's very involved in into trauma work, and she's going to write the foreword for me. So then the paperback version is coming out then in the next year. But I wanted to release the Kindle version already for before Christmas, so I'm releasing it. Yeah. So
I'm sorry, the title again? Yeah, there you go.
Stop effing around.
Okay. Your life is limitless. I love it.
Exactly. Your life is absolutely limitless. That's what it is all about.
All right. So be looking out for Chris's book releasing on Kindle December 11th. It has been such a pleasure and joy to speak with you this morning. I actually want to have you back because I know there's some things that we did not get a chance to dive into. But thank you so much for bringing your Go Giver heart today, sharing it with others, right? That's what it's about. And dropping some of these like amazing nuggets, gems for people to be able to go away with and put into their practice. So thank you so much. I appreciate your time. And with that, everyone, keep having a wonderful day. And we'll be back soon with the Coaches Connect podcast. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Nicole. Bye.
I hope you enjoyed today's discussion. Make sure to follow us to catch more episodes of the Coaches Connect podcast.